lot of rice and eat them like that, it would almost be like a kind of like a stir fry dish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it would be really healthy, you know, but it would still give you that feeling of protein, kind of.
Right.
You know, like
that's
it's
a super
good.
smart idea.
I like the Boca stuff too, and the Morningstar stuff. Like some of those are decent.
Are these brands?
Like, huh?
Are they brands you're naming?
Yeah, like they like Boca makes like burgers. Like they make like it's more like, I mean, sometimes it's kind of seen like more of like a vegetarian, but it's not necessarily. Like they have like a Boca burger, and then they have like a chicken sandwich one, and they're fairly decent. They just come in like a little box, or sometimes I think they come in a bag. And maybe Morningstar does. I think it comes in a little bag. And they have like a spicy black bean burger, and then they have like a veggie burger that's pretty good. And they used to have like this one that was like I don't know if they still have the pizza one, but it was really good. And they're just like lower carb, but they still have decent taste, you know? They're not like real thick. I mean, they're kind of just like thinner, except for the chicken one. And they have like the chicken one, they have like a buffalo chicken one, and then they have like a regular chicken, original chicken. And but you can microwave those, but you can also make them in the oven. And then if you get like Carb Smart has a live Carb Smart bread, and or I think it's like Aunt Millie's live Carb Smart bread. So if you're watching your carbs and you decide to try a bread, it might be a little bit more expensive, I'm not sure, but they have there's different low carb breads out there, you know.
Right.
And like those are pretty easy go-to meals, you know, where, you know, you can make like a couple of those sandwiches, and that'll fill you up, or one sandwich, you know, and then some kind of a side, you know. But
okay.
I could send you all kinds of pictures of stuff if you want me to.
Do it. I am
that are easy going, you know what I mean? Like where you're tired, where like maybe you've worked all day and like you don't want to eat anything that's like really super heavy, like late, but maybe you want something, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I know sometimes I get in that predicament where like the night has gone on and like maybe I want something, but I don't want anything like really, really heavy, but like maybe I want kind of something, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to send you some pictures of some things, and you can just pick and choose if you think you like any of it or not. Well, I'm glad you survived your training. You know, he used to work for the DNR here.
Did he enjoy it?
I think that there were parts of it that he enjoyed. I think that there were maybe some frustrations.
Yeah.
You know,
I instantly get those frustrations.
If you ever had any questions, like I'm sure he would answer it or whatever. Like if you had questions about regulations or something, or thoughts, you know. But
no, it's all questions. I'm still learning. How do you put this? There is so much that I don't know. I'm starting to understand or sort of grasp how much I don't know, because now I'm having, like, initially I had no questions, and it wasn't because I was like, oh yeah, I'm absorbing all this. I'm like, I'm barely even comprehending this, and now I'm just like, okay, so I'm getting the basic framework. All right, I'm starting to understand what's happening here. Okay, now let's talk about why, even though that's the first thing they told me. Well, this is what this is and this is why, and I was like, I don't understand any of that. So as I learn more and more, I start to have more questions to understand how things fit in, why the programmers run this way, why we look at certain things, because my big interest here is the building science behind it, right? And I was super interested in that. And now I'm moving towards, okay, so people have very different habits, like very different habits. So how do you guys compensate for all that? And he's more than happy to share that. And I think most people who have done it previously understand that a lot more, because that's kind of the important part. It's like you go in and seal somebody's house up, but what if they turn the fan off? Or what if they rearrange their house? They decide, hey, I want to sleep in my bedroom. Just different stuff like that, right? I'm starting to understand what I can ask about that. And it's starting to make more and more sense, because before, none of that made sense. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you just seal everyone's house up?
Why wouldn't you what? I missed that last part.
I said, why wouldn't you just seal everyone's house up to the best of your ability? Just seal it up, keep the outside outside and the inside inside. It's like, well, what if somebody smokes? I'm a smoker, and I hadn't thought of that. I was like, oh, yeah, that's not good. That's super bad.
Yeah.
And so more things, I'm just like, oh, yeah, that does make sense.
Everybody's like, it's kind of like in the beginning, I don't know, I'm just saying, like, in the beginning when you first got the job and we talked about like the different experiences that I had as a case manager going into everybody's homes, like it was so interesting to see, you know, everybody has a different like level of comfort with their acceptance of their own quality of life, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And what is the norm for people and their everyday comfort, like, and it's not that necessarily that you're going in with like judgment. You know, that's not your goal. Your goal is to go in and try to figure out like how to problem solve and fix the issues the best that you can so people have the best quality of life. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But the issue is that what your best quality of life in the situation might not be what they want to be considered the best quality of life. Because if they feel that it's different than what you see, then that's how you have to figure out where that middle ground is. Because you may have gone in thinking, well, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, and this should be done, and this would really be optimal. But what your optimal is not necessarily always going to be the same as what their optimal is and what they're comfortable with. And that can be hard, you know, because, you know, but really it's just about how can you make it as safe as what the regulations feel it should be. Because and you're not always going to be everybody's best friend to let them know what has to be safe, and that's part of it. But you know, you won't always be hit with it in your role as hard as some other people will be hit with it, but you'll still be hit with it some, you know, unfortunately. But that's when you just gotta eventually, you have to pay homage to the respect to the clients in a way, but yet also maintaining that professionalism, because you know, the reality is that you have the regulations that you have to support within your job, because you know they support you, and you have these regulations in place because you have to meet the criteria that allows you to be able to continue with these programs, to be able to help these people. However, they don't see it that way, you know. But yet at the same time, you also want to be able to give them the utmost dignity that they can have in this process, you know. And it's finding that middle ground of like saying, you know, well, we're here because we want to help you feel comfortable and get things achieved that need to be achieved to make it safe, but also make you feel that you know, that you understand that we're not here to be invasive. We're here to have solutions to make this better. You know, but it's not always going to be easy.
Balancing act.
Yeah, it is. But you're doing so well, and the fact that you're willing to try when sometimes these people just don't get people who care, and they get it across the board in their lives. And I can tell you that because on a very small, minute level, I've dealt with it from just the change in my health over the years, you know? Like, I've dealt with it, just, you deal with it, like, going from an able-bodied person, like, to having some of the issues that I've had from mobility-wise, like, you know, when you can walk into a doctor's office versus when you have to use a mobility device versus when you have to use a wheelchair, people talk to you differently.
Yep.
And so, right there, when you see that, just imagine what, you know, what some of these individuals are having to deal with, like, just everywhere that they go, you know? Like, it's just, and if they have any kind of odor about them, or if they have any kind of, you know, if their clothes, you know, are not at a level where some people feel like they should be, or,
Yep.
you know, I mean, they get hit with it all the time, you know, and it's not fair, you know, it's not right, you know, but some people will learn to see past it, and those are the people in our life that, you know, that get it, that understand that not everybody has to be cookie cutter perfect, you know, and that's just not the way that it is, you know. But there's far and few between, it seems, sometimes. But that's why you fight for what you're doing, you know, and you keep doing it, because they deserve that. They deserve the dignity of people, and that human interaction is important, you know. Why are you laughing at me again? You are. I know. I get on.
No. It's not that I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing because I just experienced that, and I was telling my friend about that, and so Alan, the DNR guy, was here today again, as you know, and I like Alan. I like Alan a lot. I like Dale a lot. Dale's my supervisor. But I've noticed that there are many conflicting styles. Like, our goal is to, first of all, help people, right?
Right.
Figure out what they need, help them. Whatever that may be, or get them pointed in the right direction. Right. So that is what I went into this role with the mindset of. And I'm starting to notice that in different individuals, that is not the primary goal. Sometimes it's the secondary, or even the tertiary goal. And I'm just like, that should be your primary goal, because that dictates everything you do should be to the benefit of that client. We want to help you. This is a program that's paid for by all taxpayers and is available to those who qualify. So if the goal isn't to help people, what the F are you doing? Just collecting a paycheck, right? And something like that happened today, where, you know, I'm a curious person, very, very curious, and Alan made a comment that supported that. He's like, yeah, he should be curious, because I said something that I didn't know the answer to, and it was sort of dismissed. The context was, we were not in a hurry, right? We were absolutely not in a hurry. We had an audit canceled, so we ended up at another client's house. All right, cool. We go in there. She wasn't expecting us, whatever. And I'd been in that house before, so I kind of remembered what I was accustomed to smelling from being in there before. This was a very different odor. And I was like, something's wrong, because my eyes are burning and my nose is tingling. And I don't remember that last time we were in the house. This is kind of odd. And I was running around for like 5 minutes just sniffing, because I was like, what am I smelling? Long story short, we made her house tighter, and she had paint cans in the basement. Paint cans and spray paint cans as well. Stuff you should keep in a garage, but we had converted her garage to part of her house because she had some other construction done. So these things are sitting downstairs in her basement, outgassing, with nowhere to go because we tightened up the house. She's not going to think of those things. I didn't think of that thing because I couldn't figure out what I was smelling. And I was like, this is not laundry detergent. What am I smelling? And it was that. And so we went upstairs and we talked to her, and I pulled her aside. So I was like, you've got some chemicals down there that normally store outdoors, but now that area has been converted indoors. So you're storing these potentially dangerous chemicals together downstairs, and they're outgassing. We don't know what that combination is going to be. It could be nothing or it could be everything. We just don't know. So err on the side of caution, because if it affected me in my nose, and again, I'm a smoker, so my sensitivity has dropped quite a bit because I've been smoking for a while. I don't know what she's going to expect. Maybe she's just like, oh, I guess it's the chemicals they use, and that's just how my basement's going to smell now because of, weather sealing or weather stripping the house. And
So what happened?
So she was super happy. She's going to get those products out of her house because, again, she hadn't thought about that. And none of the rest of us mentioned that to her. None of the rest of us, as far as professionals, had mentioned that to her. I'm like, that's a big darn deal. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah. Your house is cool, but we just created a gas chamber for you. So good luck with that. No, man, to help, you gotta tell people. And it was dismissed as, hey, it's just not a big deal. Whenever you seal a house, it may smell different. The reason why it smells different is because things are collecting and staying in the house.
Did that DNR guy, did he give you a hard time?
No. So someone else gave me a hard time, and the DNR guy stood up for me. He was like, no.
Oh, good.
We want you to be curious, because that's how you get led to look for answers. You may not always find them, but at least you will look. Yeah. So DNR is like, yo, let's go. But DNR guy isn't here every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there are some things that I've been curious about that just get dismissed, and I'm like, that's cool. I'm gonna work my resources. I'm gonna find the people who can get me in the right direction for an answer, because everything has to have an answer from somebody.
Write down his contact information.
Oh,
write down his contact.
We've been texting and emailing and going back and forth since the first time he came down. Because I just have questions. When I look at something, I'm just like, okay, I understand what it says, but give me a for instance so I make sure I understand this correctly, right? And he's been really cool about that and really nice about it. And I think, whenever your big boss comes down, everybody gets nervous and stuff. That never happens to me. I've never been a person who's like, oh my God, the big boss is coming. I'm fidgety, I'm jittery. No. If I wasn't doing everything I was supposed to, guess what? It ain't going to change while that dude's there. It's not going to happen, so I'm not going to be nervous. If I did do everything I was supposed to do, then I have no reason to be nervous. So either way, there's no reason to be nervous, right?
Right.
Well, I guess Alan makes people nervous whenever he comes around, because they get it in their mind that his job is to look for mistakes and get them into trouble. No. His job is just to make sure that they did everything right. That's it. That's all. And when DOE comes down, their job is to make sure Alan is doing his job right at DNR. And Alan's job is to make sure we do our job right at Castle, and so on and so forth. And our job is to make sure the contractors do their job right, and so on and so forth down the line, until we get all the way back to the top, which is the customer. That's everybody's checking everybody else so that the customer doesn't have to do any of that. So I try to keep those lines of communication open, because like I said at the beginning of this, there's so much I don't know. It's crazy how much I don't know. Oh my God, I could write a book about all the stuff that I don't know on one specific topic of this job, right? Because I'm just like, all the stuff that you would normally associate with tightening up a house, you just don't think about.
I'm so sorry. I have to go because my grocery order is going to be here in 7 minutes.
No worries.
And I have to go to the bathroom.
Fair enough. All right.
But I really enjoyed that. That was really good talking, and I wish I didn't have to go, because I would have enjoyed talking more. But I'm so glad that he supported you in that, because what a wonderful find, because that was really, really important.
Yes.
So I'm really proud of you for standing up for what you knew was right and helping her. like between 9 and 11, and then I'll have to wind down for a little bit and then shower, and then I'll have that in the afternoon because it's gotta get all that stuff done, and then have that appointment because I had to take care of that. And then I don't know if she'll make me go in, and like I don't know if she'll make me end up wearing a halter thing or not. I'm not sure, so I had to make sure I had to make room for that tomorrow for all this. So